Hello everybody, welcome back to another review. I know I've been gone for a very long time, and that is mostly because I've just haven't really been feeling wrestling or making videos in general. I keep writing scripts for things, doing research and whatnot, and nothing just ever comes out how I want it to. So I figured I would just kind of take a break, and that is what I've been doing. But I decided it's been a while since I've actually put out a video, so I might as well do something. And the best thing for me to do is to review the latest show, which is the December 18th of 2021, the Osaka Super Wars. We have 5 matches on this card here. The first match is a gauntlet match where Shuri faces off against Mai Sakurai, Lady C, and Waka Tsukiyama, where she faces off the first person beats them, moves on, and whatnot. The second and third match are the first round of the units tournament, with the first round being DDM versus Marvelous, so Natsupoi, Himika, and Maika versus Takumi Iroha, Rin, Kadokura, and Maria. And then the third match is Stars versus Cosmic Angels. So we have Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki, and Koguma versus Tam Nakano, Unagi Sayaka, and Mina Shirakawa. Then we have a fourth match, which is the Captain's Fall match, which is the match that made me want to watch this. It was the main reason I did. We have Queen's Quest versus Odo Tai, with Momo Watanabe being Queen's Quest's captain and Starlight Kid being Odo Tai's captain. The Captain's Fall match. Whichever one of those two loses first is the loser, and then they have to join the other team, with Starlight Kid having the extra stipulation of also having to unmask herself. So then we have Momo Watanabe, Saya Kamatani, Azumi, and Utami Hayashishita versus Starlight Kid, Konami, Saki Kashima, and Ruka. And finally, for the last match, we have the finals of the trios tournament, so whoever won the second match and whoever won the third match will face each other in a ladder match, which is apparently Stardom's first ever ladder match, and boy was it good. So moving back to the first match, we have the Gauntlet. Shuri comes out carrying both of the tag belts. I believe Julia is still out with injury. I believe her and Natsuko have been out for a considerable amount of time, and Shuri, I believe, is just coming out with both of them in kind of honor of her, since they're still apparently the tag champions somehow. Waka Tsukiyama starts the match first with Shuri, and she gets annihilated pretty quickly. All 3 of these people get annihilated pretty quickly. Shuri knocks out Waka with just a straight kick in the first win. And then Mai is next. I really do love Mai's elbow drops from the top rope or second rope. I can't remember exactly which one it is, but I know some people don't really like it. And compared to the other famous elbow drop from Stardom, it is nothing. But I honestly do really like it. I like how she kind of lands butt first, and then the momentum of her landing like that kind of like throws her back. It's just a very unique way to do it. And it could just be her being, afraid to land fully on her back from jumping from a high height. I don't know. All I know is that it looks good to me. Shuri wins with a sleeper hold, and then Lady C comes in. She does better than the other two, in my opinion. She gets some good licks in here. There are 2 major things I want to talk about here, because I haven't watched in literally months. A lot of these women's appearances are not exactly what I remember it, and a lot of their move sets have changed. Like, I don't remember Shuri having shorter hair. I don't remember Lady C having as long hair, things like that. But with Lady C, one thing I want to point out in this match, the highlight, is her chokeslam looked phenomenal. It looked really, really good. But then apparently she has also added some kind of finisher to her repertoire that she, I believe, got from the Great Baba or something like that. It's like a backbreaker claw maneuver. It's very, very interesting, and I think it fits her really well, because she's very clearly going for the giant style of fighting, but the strength giant style. So, like the like Andre the Giant and whatnot. Like, she's not going to be very mobile, which is odd because she is very fit and thin. Shuri, beats her, of course, and walks off, leaving Mai Sakurai, Waka Tsukiyama, and Lady C in the ring to lick their wounds. But before any of them could really recuperate, two masked people come out to attack them, and both of them are wearing Momo masks, and not Momo Watanabe mask, but the creepypasta character Momo. It's very odd because it's kind of like a spooky kind of thing, but it also very fits their mannerisms and personalities that they're trying to portray out there. They're doing a lot of kind of like Boogeyman-ish vibes. You guys remember Boogeyman from the WWE? I loved Boogeyman. He was one of my favorites back in the day. But he was very spooky. He kind of had these like weird jittery movements, and these two had the exact same thing. And apparently they have been tacking Cosmic Angels for a while now. As far as I know, every attack from them has been on someone from Cosmic Angels. I could be wrong. I really have only paid attention to like 2 attacks, but it's very interesting. They have me intrigued on who they actually are because this is interesting. Stardom usually doesn't do stuff like this. I mean, they do, but they don't. They've done things like this before with Andres Miyagi's debut, where she came out in like a Scream mask, I believe, if I'm remembering off the top of my head correctly, and attacked people in the ring. I think it was like Jungle and whatnot. That that has happened before. Hazuki coming out in a mask and cloak when Io betrayed Mayu and started Queen's Quest. It's not exactly new for Stardom, but it feels like it's the next level of those things. Moving on to the next match, GDM versus Marvelous. Now, right away, I was really excited about this for 2 reasons. 1, I really like Himika. I think she's awesome. And 2, I really, really like Maria from Marvelous. I think she's really good for her experience level. She kind of has this different tenacity to her than the other Marvelous rookies had. Whereas the other Marvelous rookies, they seem to really be more of like a fast-paced, like a high-speed wrestlers, where Maria kind of just seemed like she wanted to murder people. And it comes through really well. She has a presence. She has the skills in the ring. I'm a big fan. The story leading up to this match is apparently Himika and Natsupoi have been having some marital troubles amongst the team of the trios because they have the triple belts. I don't know too much about it. The promo packages in this show were not subtitled or anything, so I just kind of had to go off of what it seemed like It honestly, it seemed a little bit like maybe Himika felt like Natsupoi was dragging her down, or maybe the other way around. I don't know. But that is the vibe I got. One thing I do want to point out for this match, I'm not going to be going too in detail of the match, by doing like a play-by-play. That's never something that I ever plan on doing for reviews. I just want to talk about certain things in each match while showing you, some stills and clips and whatnot. But the rolls into the corner to tag your partner, they were getting a little out of hand in this match. I don't know if this has just always been a thing or if it's gotten more ridiculous since I stopped watching. But as I was watching, that's the only thing I can just focus on. There'd be 2 people fighting each other. They'd be down. One will get up and go to tag, but then they'll stop and then do a combat roll to tag. It's so dumb. And with that said, another thing that was really kind of bugging me was the camera cuts. I don't remember Stardom having this crazy of cut style. So I don't know if this is just a new thing or if I'm just not remembering it correctly from when I used to watch. But they weren't doing it as bad as WWE, where they would literally cut as the move was hitting, so you didn't actually get to see the move hit at all. These guys, they would cut right before they did the move, and then you would see the move, and then they would cut again. But there were a lot of moments where they were just needlessly cutting to different angles for no reason. It was very odd and disjarring a lot of the times, and it made me kind of miss the old days of Stardom just having a camera, in one of the higher stands, and it just watched it for the majority, and maybe had some hand cams down by the mat every now and then. Another thing is that there's a lot of times where they're kind of zooming in on the wrestlers while they're wrestling, so you're only seeing like this much of them, you know, instead of their whole bodies. I feel like it takes away because it's, even if you're not really missing anything, you feel like you're missing something. You know what I mean? Because if you're there live, you're seeing the whole you're seeing like their footwork, you're seeing how they're moving their legs, you know, and it does cause some instances where you actually miss some of the move because they're zoomed in and they have to like cut away or like zoom out really quick to hit a quick move that wasn't really expected. I just feel like while the production value of Stardom has gone really high ever since Bushiroad took over, I feel like in certain aspects they're really regressing. And yeah. One awesome moment from this match I really want to point out was there were two things in this match that were just awesome. Micah's scoop slam on, who was it? It doesn't say, but I think it might have been Takumi. Micah's scoop slam, really awesome. I mean, it was nothing like super special, but it was pretty cool. But the other thing was Himika's power bomb on Maria looked devastating. Holy cow, she destroyed that woman. She killed her. It was crazy. I miss Himika. I know when I stopped watching, I think she was out for a little bit, and it was kind of like this weird, I think that might have been a little bit of why I stopped watching. I gotta be honest. Like, Himika was out, Natsuko was out, Julia was on her way out, and, you know, like, there just wasn't too much keeping me around. You know, Jungle had announced that she wasn't coming back. Things like that, you know, it just felt like there was nothing that I loved in Stardom that was still there. You know, Momo wasn't getting anything still. You know, the people that I feel like were undeserved were still getting pushed. I don't know. It kind of soiled my mood a little bit, I think. So that match is over. It was a great match. I highly recommend watching it. Definitely not skip worthy. So moving on to the next first round, it's Stars versus Cosmic Angels. I'm really happy to see Hazuki back in Stardom. One thing I find very odd is that she is kind of still holding on to her Odo Tai aesthetic while being in Stars, so it doesn't really fit. I remember seeing this like meme online where they said like Stars members and what they bring to the party or something. It had like Koguma with candy, and then like or like Coca-Cola or something. Then Mayu with like Pepsi or Coca-Cola, and then had Hazuki with like cocaine. Like, and that's kind of what it feels like. It kind of feels like she's like the bad girl of the group, and while it's fine, and I'm actually more in support of people not all being like the exact same in a group, it does feel a little jarring because Stars for the longest time has always had this appearance and mentality to them, and I feel like Hazuki's kind of like the odd man out right now. I don't know if she's planning on changing when she gets a little bit more money from working. I don't know. I think Mina and Unagi did really, really good in this match, whether you think they're a good wrestler or not, because it could be argued that they're not good wrestlers, and it could be argued that they are good wrestlers. I'm on the side that they're talented. You know, they're good wrestlers. They're not great or anything, but they're good. But they are phenomenal entertainers. They have their strengths and they know how to use them. Like, Unagi is vicious and she's willing to go, and she uses that, and she's kind of a bitch. Not like the woman Unagi who, you know, the character Unagi Saika is kind of like a bitch. She's a bully, and she plays off of that. Mina is super hot, and she knows it. She knows she's super hot. She's constantly flaunting her boobs. She's, you know, giving smiles and smirks to people in the crowd. She's constantly getting the crowd worked up, you know, doing sexy dances and things like that, and that works for her. Tam's amazing. You guys know I love Tam. Tam is literally my number one most like all around wrestler in Stardom. I think she's the number one best wrestler in Stardom. She's not my number one. Momo's my number one, but she's, in my opinion, the number one best wrestler in Stardom, with Mayu being like shortly a little bit under her. And then, so these six put on an amazing match. And there are a couple things I want to point out here. One, Unagi's leg drops, love them. I do miss her doing the singular like wind up leg drop that she used to do. Now she's kind of just like jumping and doing them, which is fine. I prefer the original, but the new one it's good as well. The Tam Nakano Mayu Iwatani part towards the middle was pretty sick, with Mayu super kicking Tam, I believe it was. Mayu's super kicks are amazing. Mayu is freaking top-notch talent. Then you match her with another top-notch talent like Tam, and you're going to get an amazing segment of a match. Hazuki has a little highlight moment with Tam where they do a back and forth forearms to the neck area or chest. I believe it's like right here, but I don't know because I've never actually gotten hit like that. So it was pretty cool to see, Hazuki kind of get a little bit moment to shine, even though she is very, very ring rusty. And I feel like she has a little bit of ways to go to get to her old caliber. Tam's back suplex on Hazuki looked freaking devastating. She didn't just pick her up and then like drop her. She had her arm through. I'm like a little off center here. She had her like arm through Hazuki's legs while she was doing it. And Hazuki landed like boom, straight neck bump. It looked absolutely devastating. I don't know if this is a new thing for Tam or if she has been doing it for a while, but I'm a fan of it. I think it's a very good addition to her repertoire. Kozin launching Tam to the outside. Love their teamwork. They always did try to implement a team aspect to them. They always felt more like a team than a lot of the other factions that we have in Stardom. And then with Mina's diving like forearm, we pretty much have every like diving or jumping attack covered by Kozin. You have Mai with the elbow drop. You have Mina with the flying forearm. Then you have Unagi with the leg drop. I just think that's a pretty cool little detail that I don't know if it was planned, but they sure did it. Mina's implant DDT in this match, absolutely devastating. She killed whoever she did it on. I don't know right now. I forgot to write down who she hit it on because I'm dumb. But I just remember that was one of those like, ooh moments, you know what I mean? Hazuki gets the win with the Hazuki stroll on Mina. It was really nice. It was really solid. I like how Mina tried to like plead with the ref, but like doing teary eyes and acting cute. It's really, really funny. She reminds me a lot of Tam in that she's always keeping the story going in some way. She's always doing a little thing. Really good actors and actresses, when they're in a scene but they're not the focus on a scene, they still do little tiny things to let themselves stand out, to add to the scene without trying to take away all of the things, all of the attention. And I feel like Mina is really good at that. The match ends, obviously, and then Mina and Unagi are like up in Hazuki and Koguma's face and bullying them, essentially, while Tam just kind of stands back and watches, and Mayu just walks off because, Mayu, the great leader. All right, moving on to the main event of the show, but not really the main event, but the main event, you know what I mean? The Captain's Fall match, the match that pretty much everyone was looking forward to. Everyone was kind of speculating on the outcome and wondering what could possibly happen here. And I know that when I first heard about this match, my first thought was one of the two outcomes better happen. I do not want a time limit draw. I do not want something stupid happening to make it where neither outcome happens. I didn't want either outcome that really happened, but if they're setting this up, it better play through, and they did. It was a really amazing. I'm going to spoil it right here and now. Momo ends up betraying Queen's Quest, hitting Azumi with a chair and eliminating herself to purposely join Orotai. And then she just announces that she essentially does what Konami did during the draft, except it's working a lot better here, because whereas the draft was against Konami's will that she joined TCS, the Momo's betrayal, it's an active motion that she had to put into place. So her suddenly turning on QQ makes a lot more sense. So her like aggression or hatred towards QQ makes more sense because she personally betrayed them, whereas Konami just got drafted and was all of a sudden like FQQ, all up in the yin yang. Starlight Kid really shines in this match. She looks like she's kind of taken over as temporary leader of Odotai while Natsuko is out, and I feel like she's killing it. She really feels like a threat. One of the biggest things against Starlight Kid up until now is that she was too like cutesy and not opposing. Like it was believable that she was winning matches, but it didn't really feel like she had that killer instinct in her to actually finish off an opponent, and right now I feel like she does. Ruka is getting incredibly large. She has put on a lot of weight since the last time I watched, and with that weight gain, she has essentially become like even more of a monster than she has before. She was overpowering everyone in this match, even Utami. She won a strength battle with Utami, and that's crazy, especially seeing how she's still a youngin'. I feel like she's one of the most pushed and supported youngins, like, out of all of the current roster. I don't think Azumi and Starlight Kid had such a strength behind her or behind them as Ruka has behind her. They're having Ruka take on top card people and winning little battles over them. That's insane. She reminds me a lot of Natsuko when Natsuko came back. She used to be really skinny and petite, but then she put on like a lot of weight and became this kind of like power wrestler with Jungle. But then, she kind of reverted from that once she joined Odotai. She was no longer a power wrestler. She was more of a brawler, like Yoshiko. One final thing about this match is that Momo's actions and words towards Azumi in this segment and the end, it calls back to when Io betrayed Mayu. I felt very similar vibes. It was like you're good, but you're holding me back, and I'm tired of carrying you. So screw off. I'm gonna go be evil now. Like that's kind of what it felt like Io was trying to do. That very fast, fell off because no one in original QQ could really pull off heel except Io, and Momo was just too pure of a babyface at that time in her career to be able to pull off heel convincingly, and Hazuki was much of the same because she just did not have a personality. But now, which is hilarious, because now Momo is supposed to be a heel now, and Hazuki's coming back as a face. It's topsy-turvy world. Main event, we are looking at the Stardom's first ever ladder match, according to them and other people online. I don't remember them ever doing one, but whatever. So I agree with them. It's their first ever. It is, I believe it was Mayu, Koguma, and Hazuki versus Natsupoi, Himika, and Maika. Basically, just like with every other ladder match, briefcase is lifted up into the air, into the middle of the ring. You got to climb up the ladder and get it. One funny thing is that the majority of the women in this match are not tall enough to actually get the briefcase off unless they are pretty much on the top rung of the ladder. Only two wrestlers could probably reach it without being on the top rung of the ladder, and that is Mayu and Himika. The winner of the tournament, I believe it was for the triple belts as well. But other than that, the winner would get $100,000. Now, I was a little confused because I didn't realize that until the very end. They kept just saying like the little text at the top of the screen said 1,000, and I was like, this isn't making sense. Like, is it 1,000 yen? Which doesn't make any sense because that's only $10. Like, why are they fighting over $10? Is it $1,000? But that doesn't make any sense also because why would a Japanese company putting on a Japanese show using Japanese language write $1,000 in Japanese? That doesn't make any sense. But it turns out it's $100,000 according to the subtitles at the end, because they say it was 10 million yen. And 10 million yen, easy conversion rate for yen. I don't know if it's still true, but it's been true for, a long time. You literally just move the decimal place over 2 places. So 10 million becomes 100,000. And $100,000 is freaking crazy. Let me go over a few highlights of this match for you. One thing, Hazuki's ring rust is also a huge factor here. She does really good, but there is a moment where they're doing a suicide dive to the outside of the ring, and Hazuki almost messes up. It's pretty bad. Nothing bad happens, but it could have happened, and it looked like it should have happened. Micah superplexes Mayu off of the top of the ladder into the ring. Now, when this match started, I was like, I don't think these women are actually going to do any cool stunts with this ladder. Because for as hardcore as Joshi is, the mainline people in Joshi, when it comes to hardcore stuff, like using weapons, they're not vicious about it. They're very, very weak about it. Now, there are outliers, obviously, like Risa Serra from Ice Ribbon was a freaking monster with that stuff. 4 wrestlers just left Ice Ribbon, I think, to go join, to start their own little, group of hardcore wrestlers. Hardcore wrestling in Joshi is getting much more popular and big. So I'm not trying to say that Joshi wrestlers just aren't good at it. I'm talking about the Joshi wrestlers primarily in Stardom. Stardom for a long time, whenever they did anything hardcore related, weapons, whatnot, it was always really pussyfoot. You know what I mean? And they do some pretty cool stuff in this match. Like I said, Micah superplex of Mayu off the top of the ladder to the ring. Insane. Looked devastating. Mayu does her freedom kick. Mayu would jump to go do a drop kick or whatever, and Io and Kairi would grab her as she's jumping and push her towards their opponent in the turnbuckle. So it was a really fast, hard-hitting kick. Well, Mayu pulls that off into Micah, with Micah leaning on the ladder, so she's getting kicked like that, but into the ladder as well. Super cool. And then she almost immediately, I believe, does a moonsault off the top of the ladder into the ring. I was not expecting that. That was insane. Even after the superplex, I was like, all right, I bet that was the height of this match. But no, Mayu does a freaking moonsault off the top of the ladder. That is insane. You would have to practice that so much to get the timing and rotation right. It's crazy. Natsupoi then just does a regular jump from the turnbuckle to the outside of the ring, body splash, which Koguma later overshadows, one-ups that in a huge way. And this is actually my favorite spot from the show. It doesn't seem like much at first, but Koguma, from the top of the ladder in the ring, does a body splash to the outside of the ring. It's insane. That is insane height. That ladder is at the very least 10 feet tall. I would say. It has to be at least 10 feet tall. Or around there. And then the ring itself is probably 3-ish feet, right? At the very least. I'm underballing here so I don't get, criticized for over-exaggerating the numbers to try to make it seem cooler than it is. So we're saying 13 feet in the air. Koguma is jumping off to concrete on the outside. I know she's not landing on concrete, but that's dangerous. Onto a group of people. That's insane. And then once she's done with that, she gets up on the turnbuckle and does a missile drop kick to someone in the ring. Koguma earned my 100% respect and support after that match. I was already a fan of her. If you guys remember the last time I was actually doing stuff, I came out with my newest top 5, and Koguma was in it. My top 5 isn't ever changing. It's not it's not even necessarily my top 5 favorite wrestlers. It's just the top 5 my top 5 favorite people who I enjoy seeing in the ring. Who, if I'm going into a show, I'm excited to see what they're going to do in that show. And it changes all the time. The only person who's ever been in it like consistently the whole time is Momo. It was Momo, Tam, Unagi, Natsuko, and Koguma. Those were the people who I was really, really looking forward to seeing each show. And while I was always kind of on Koguma's side and stuff, I'm 100% respect her and support her after that. That is an insane move, and she has shown me that she is like crazy. Like, she is putting her everything into this new run that she did. Himika gets hit with the ladder by Hazuki. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. Himika, I believe, is like trying to pin someone, and instead of breaking up, Hazuki's just like, nope. it's pretty funny. After the show ends, Natsupoi grabbed the briefcase with the support of Himika. They work together to get the briefcase, so thus ending their little side, or not side, their plot, device on that. They make up afterwards, they're hugging and crying and whatnot. Unagi, Mai Sakurai, and Mina Shirakawa come out to challenge for the artist belts. It gets accepted, so we have that coming up. GDM announced that they are going to try to beat the triple belts defense record, which I believe is held by Cosmic Angels, by Tam, Unagi, and Mina. And they also announced that they are going to go on a vacation with their $100,000 that they just won. This show was really good. It was very short. I mean, it wasn't short. It was still like 2-something hours. But, short in the card number of matches. Like, it was 5 matches, but every single one of them was good, except for the first one. That one was just okay. But, really, what are you going to do with that kind of match, But every match was for sure non-skippable. I would recommend everyone seeing them. The ladder match has spots in it that are going to go down in history, in Stardom's history, as like insane spots that people will talk about years from now. The same way that they still talk about things that like Io and Mayu and Kairi and Kagetsu had done in their heyday in Stardom. So I'm really looking forward to that being added to kind of like the famous matches of Stardom. The Captain's Fall match is going to have huge repercussions for Stardom, with with Momo now being a heel again, but not only being a heel, being in Odotai. We're going to get to see, I think we're going to get to see a lot more shades of White Belt Momo now, because White Belt Momo was not a good person. She was really bitchy. She was a very, very sadistic. She liked making fun of people. She liked torturing people emotionally and physically. And I feel like she was being held back a lot by Queen's Quest. So out of the two options, while I think we all would have loved to have seen Starlight Kid join, Queen's Quest, because we could have Azumi and Starlight working together. The main highlight was we would get to see Starlight Kid unmasked. Obviously, I think everyone wants to see that, at the very least, just once. So it's kind of a bummer that didn't happen, but at the same time, it's kind of a blessing, because I think this is really going to help Momo. Because unfortunately, in current wrestling, I can't say for too much for like Western wrestling, or even just Japanese wrestling in general, because like I said, I don't really watch too much anymore. But I felt like there was modern day wrestling, it's really hard to get over as a face, because no one wants to actually support faces. Everyone kind of grew up loving the anti-hero, the bad boys. They grew up watching Blade and thinking he was the coolest thing ever. So did I. But the problem is that now we resonate with the anti-heroes, the badasses, the disrespectful, as long as they're talented, they act like that, and we cheer them like faces. And I feel like that has kind of destroyed the classic face, the actual goody two-shoes. The only people who can actually pull off being a real face are the people who are just naturally baby faces. Jungle, Kairi. I think that's it. in Stardom. Like that's the only people I can think of who were ever natural baby faces. Everyone else has to be a badass or be like a cunt, essentially, to get support. And it sucks. But I think this will be good for Momo. Hopefully this means that she's going to get that red belt, because there was no way that they were going to transfer the red belt from one Queen's Quest member just to go to another Queen's Quest member. Thank you for watching. Bye.